Today, 2 Albuquerque police officers were each charged with murder in the shooting death of a mentally ill homeless man who was camping in the hills of Albuquerque in March of last year. After a 4-hour standoff, officers shot 38-year-old James Boyd. Police said he was armed with small knives. In the month after the shooting, the Justice Department, which had already been investigating the Albuquerque Police Department, released their findings that, quote, Albuquerque Police Department engages in a pattern and practice of use of excessive force, including deadly force. Here is video of that shooting of that homeless man from one of the police officers' helmet cams.
All right, don't change up your agreement. I'm going to try to walk with you. All right. Lawful, don't try to harm me. Keep your word. I can keep you safe. All right? Don't worry about safety. I'm not a murderer. All right? Try to harm me. Try to harm you. All right? Do it. Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Get on the ground now! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Don't make fun of people! Get up!
There have been more than 40 officer-involved shootings in Albuquerque since 2010. According to the district attorney's office, this is the first time an Albuquerque police officer has ever been charged in connection with an officer-involved shooting. Joining me now is Albuquerque District Attorney Carrie Brandenburg. She is charging the 2 Albuquerque police officers with murder. Also joining us, the Executive Director of Progress Now, New Mexico, Patrick Davis, who is himself a former police officer. District Attorney Brandenburg, how did you present this case?
Well, we didn't present the case. What we did is we determined that there was probable cause, and that's a legal standard. And once we have probable cause, then we can proceed either by way of grand jury or by preliminary hearing. And we decided that transparency was of the utmost importance, and so we are going to go ahead and proceed by way of preliminary hearing. And that means that there'll be somewhat of what we refer to as a mini trial, where we will present evidence and the defense will have a chance to cross-examine and present evidence that they feel is relevant. And a court will decide, or a judge will decide, what the appropriate charges will be, if any, to bind the officers over at the conclusion of the preliminary hearing.
Now, we've seen other district attorneys around the country faced with the same choice who went to grand juries in Ferguson saying that we want to present every speck of evidence we possibly can to a grand jury. It turns out they were also introducing perjured testimony. They were introducing incorrect laws in the grand jury. We now know, having seen the grand jury transcript there. Were you mindful of the public criticism of the grand jury process in these kinds of cases when you made this decision?
Actually, we have been presenting cases that involve officers and other high-profile individuals by way of preliminary hearing. Most recently, an officer for vehicular homicide that ended up going to trial. And so this is not something that we decided to do based upon anything that's happened across the country in recent months.
Patrick Davis, as you know, most police departments the size of Albuquerque go through a typical year without any shootings at all, without killing anyone. The numbers there are extraordinary. What is your reaction to this prosecution?
Well, it's historic, without any doubt. I mean, as you said, Lawrence, we've had more than 40 police officer-involved shootings in the last half-decade, and even though the police process here has allowed the department to investigate itself, and the grand jury has had to rely on those police investigations. And so in this case, it's historic, but it's starting to bring some sense of hope and vindication to the people who've been marching and protesting and asking for change for a really long time. And so unlike other cities in the country, I think we're looking at people in Albuquerque are taking a look and hoping that we're going to turn a new corner in the way we deal with our police department and hold them accountable.
Let's listen to what one of the defense lawyers for one of the officers said about these charges today.
He spent his whole career in life protecting people. And the idea that he's charged with murder because he's protecting a fellow officer, you can imagine, that goes right to his core. It hurts. That officer is alive. And unfortunately, Mr. Boyd lost his life. But when a mentally unstable, unpredictable, dangerous man with 2 knives is 8 feet on higher ground away from an officer who does not have a gun drawn, he is justified in protecting that officer and shooting that man.
Carrie Brandenburg, why do you see that evidence differently? You're both looking at exactly the same video.
Right. Why do we see? Well, he's an advocate for his client, and he's a zealous and very capable advocate for his client. And we're looking at the laws. I mean, we're looking at it through a totally different lens than he is, and we feel that we have probable cause. Now, all of this will be aired in public in an open courtroom, and a judge will make the ultimate decision based upon all the evidence that's presented. So the defense will get to present that evidence, and then we'll present the entire investigation, the forensics, any kind of criminalistics, and the court will have the benefit of all of the information, and the public will also have the benefit of all that information.
Now, we've seen cases where people have been, like Michael Brown, shot and killed completely unarmed. And here's a situation where the person who's killed does apparently have a knife or knives, and one possibly in each hand, small knives. But why weren't you reluctant to charge, given the fact that there were weapons present?
Well, I think that, I mean, and I said today at our press conference that I don't want to get into the facts of the case. That will be decided, you know, as the preliminary hearing convenes. But I think that there were other options available to the officers at that point in time. And that is what we try to do, is we try to get inside the officer's head to determine if they were in fear of their life or in fear of someone else's life or great bodily harm, and if that fear was reasonable. And we know that the Supreme Court, and the New Mexico Supreme Court, gives officers broader discretion in using deadly force than you or I would have in using deadly force.
And Patrick Davis, what's so striking about this prosecution decision is that what we've seen in so many other cases is if there's any hint of a weapon even possibly being used, most prosecutors around the country, in my experience, rely on that and as the reason not to move forward in any way, and they don't do an analysis of exactly how much real danger was the police officer in when each one of those shots was fired.
Well, that's right. But I mean, as a police officer, you know, I was always grateful to have that, and the public is right to do that. But I think what's unique in this case is that of the 20-something cases that had shootings before and the 15 or so since, this is the first one where body cameras showed us exactly the officer's perspective, blow by blow and step by step, as this incident sort of progressed. And people were willing to take a look at that and take a look and say, no, we think that officer went too far. You know, as we look at what's happening in Ferguson or in New York and other places, this is the first time I've ever seen where the public can follow the officer from his own perspective and see what's happening. And I think most of us said that this looked like an example of really the first time the public's gotten to see the militarization of our police departments. I mean, for a department to call out officers in tactical gear with police dogs and flashbang grenades, for a man who is camping alone by himself in the desert for a misdemeanor crime, I think to most of us sort of says they just went too far. And watching that video, I think most people looked at that and said that they think the police went too far in that. And the video gives us an insight that we didn't have in many of these other cases.
District Attorney Carrie Brandenburg and Patrick Davis, thank you both very much for joining me tonight. Up next, the cyber attack against the United States Military Central Command, and later, the NYPD seems to have proved a point by deliberately reducing the number of arrests in New York City, but it's not exactly the point they wanted to prove. That's